G'day everybody, Duckville here on a very lovely autumn day here in Melbourne. We're going to be watching a game on the Korean server. This is going to be a custom game, it's not on the ladder, but it is going to be a lot of fun. This is a little bit of a special cast, it's not something that I would have normally done, but I thought, hey, what the hell, let's introduce this guy, and in fact, He's a player which some of you, if you've been watching the Team Liquid live thread on the GSL Code A qualifiers that had just passed last weekend, you may notice this name. This is dtGuRGGanDol, part of the clan on the Korean server. He is a player who has actually just qualified for GSL Code A and will be taking his shot at competing in the tournament coming up very soon. So I thought we'd have a look at this guy, and I said to a friend of mine who is one of the managers over at dtG, Dream Team Gaming, show me some reps, because this guy has actually just joined the team at dtG. He was, as many of you will know, he was incredibly lucky to actually get through his qualifying group, but he went down to the GSL qualifiers and went in and signed up and all that sort of thing, and then actually had a few buys to deal with. So he actually didn't have any opponents to deal with in the first couple of rounds. He had to face, I believe it was Slayer Seller in the final of the series for the qualification, and beat Seller. I'm not sure exactly what happened. Someone said they did a bit of cheese, but I don't know exactly for sure. But I thought, hey, let's have a look at how this guy goes. His opponent is going to be a Terran. As I said, this was a custom game. It's on a GSL version of Daybreak, and his opponent is the blue Terran who's up the top. I swear the blue color is a lot bluer on this map than it is on other maps. I don't know if that's just me, but that's how I feel about the situation. Anyway, this is RvN Mental Break, who is a Terran player. He's a very decent player. I think I've seen someone else do a couple of casts of this guy before. I can't exactly remember, but I do know he is a pretty good quality player, so we'll find out how he goes against GGanDol today. Now, about GGanDol, I wasn't able to find out too much information about him. He is a very, very new addition to the dtG team, so we're talking he only joined like within a couple of days before going to the Code A qualifiers, so I don't actually have too much information about him, but just going from the looks of it at the moment, he's starting out with a very quick Nexus. Of course, this map does favor very fast expansions, as we can see. Mental Break is going to take his own 1 racks expand very quickly there. Now, in terms of economics, the 16 Nexus is a little tiny bit better than the 1 racks, but it of course does have its vulnerabilities. One of those being any sorts of early pressures can really do a lot of damage here, and it looks as if Mental Break is not going to be too successful here. His SCV has actually been attacked by this probe, so he's not going to get that bunker done at all. Not to mention the simple fact that the Marines are still all the way over here. It's a long way to get across Daybreak. There are 2 big pathways that go through the middle of the map, as we can see here, and after you have gotten through to the middle part of the game, you can bust down the rocks that are in the middle, and they will give you a bit of a shorter path. But at the start, things like the 16 Nexus, things like a 1 gate expand, those sorts of things are very safe. Of course, Terrans can also do a CC first. That is entirely possible for them as well, and very easy to get away with. What you see a lot of the time is Terrans will like to go for a 1 racks command center into a very quick 3rd command center, and sometimes you'll see these sorts of economic plays where you actually get the double gas pretty quickly there, grabbing the extra racks as well to make sure you've got some defense, a bunker at the front, and then you are all ready to go. As I was saying about GGanDol, just before I get too far off track and we get too far into the game so I can't get back to it, if you do a search for GGanDol on Google, you'll actually come up with a couple of games and some replays on Ghost of Gamers of a player named cGGanDol. I can't confirm or deny if that is the same player, simply for the fact that I don't actually know. But I'm pretty sure that is not the same GGanDol. So don't think that he's the same GGanDol that competed against Much, one of the bigger Brood War players back in the day. Gandol did play Brood War, but apparently it was only for a little bit of fun. So that's just a little bit of background on him. We'll have a look at how he goes here, whether he has some of those Brood War inflections in the way that he plays. Obviously, a lot of the Brood War players have some decent micro, those sorts of things that can really affect their particular style of gameplay. But just looking at the builds, what we've got now out of both players, we've got the 3 gateways up. Warp Gate Tech just finishing at beautiful timing there, going to pick up the 3 Warp Gates. Robotics Facility also complete here as well, in just a second. Third and fourth gas also on the way, and GGanDol is going to be looking in a pretty good spot here. He's sitting nicely on his economy of 37 probes. Of course, the double Nexus really helping out with the probe production, and then of course the double chrono as well, really giving a nice boost to the economy for the Protoss. Meanwhile, Mental Break has gotten his third gas on the way. He's got 3 racks only at the moment. The Tech Lab researching stim pack, which has only just started. They already have concussive shell for the Marauders, just in case he needs to fend off some early pressure. Factory complete, getting a reactor, no doubt, for some quick medevacs there as well, and the starport will assist with that, of course. Apparently you need a starport to get some medevacs out, but everything going nice and cruisy here. Now, Mental Break pushing through the middle of the map. He's going to take control of the Zolnaga Watchtower here. Get some good vision on what's going on. Unfortunately, you can't actually see what's up the ramp, so he's going to be very careful with how he proceeds here. An observer is going to keep an eye on what is going on at that front section there. I'm not sure why he's not actually pushing it out, but just a little bit of posturing here between these 2 players. One Marine busting up the ramp, trying to be a hero, but he goes down straight away. Double forges over here for GGanDol. He's going to be picking up some upgrades pretty quickly. In fact, if he actually remembers to get the second one, I'm not sure if that was part of the plan, to forget that you need to get armor, and there it is. Alright, so he's finally grabbed it. We got Chronos going down. The robotics bay is also complete, so we've got a Colossus already started here, and this is going to put GGanDol in quite a nice position. Once the first or the second Colossi come out and you've got some of these upgrades, you can look at taking a very nice third as a Protoss, and it's nice and safe. Generally, it sort of depends how you're dealing with the player that you are playing against. Of course, someone with a lot of drop capability can exploit some things like that. It can be a little bit difficult to keep an eye on what's going on at 3 bases. Of course, the risk of taking extra bases pretty early is that you do have to spread out your army, and that can cause issues. But we'll find out very soon if that is indeed going to be the plan here from GGanDol. I think he's just going to stick with tech for the moment. He's probably going to want to get Thermal Lance when he can. Maybe just needs a little bit more gas to get that rolling. A couple of extra gates on the way. Twilight Council as well. And yeah, things going pretty crazy between these 2 guys. There's nothing really too aggressive from either of them. They're just both sort of teching up. Of course, GGanDol has a little bit of a lead because he will have +1-1 very quickly here. The engineering bay of Mental Break is only just about to complete, and that's going to be give him quite a deficit on his upgrades. As we can see, the Marauders and the Marines still sitting on nothing at the moment. These Zealots have got +1. They'll pick up +1 armor in a second as well. And with the Guardian Shield, there is no way that any type of push here from Mental Break is going to be able to get through safe and sound. Of course, he may be able to get a quick look at what's going on, but he will be able to see that there is a Colossus here, and that means a no-go zone for that particular section of the map. But we've got the factory now just pushing up through the top of the map, getting some good vision here, trying to find out if GGanDol has actually taken this 3rd base or not. And as we can see, he hasn't gotten any vision on that yet, so he knows that he's okay for the moment, but I would love to see a little bit more production here. Where is the combat shields? Alright, it's on the way. But a second starport being created by Mental Break. That is very nice. Always love to see double starport. Once you detect that a Protoss has picked up the Colossus tech and is sticking with that for the time being, it's always good to go and grab some of that tasty Viking goodness and make sure that you can deal with those Colossi from afar during the battles. Now, GGanDol has decided to pick up 2-2 on his upgrades, as well as get a 3rd base here. It is going to slow down the production of his Colossi a tiny bit, and it does look like he's just going to grab another observer and keep an eye on what's going on the map. He's got some decent vision here, actually. We've got this forward pylon, which is helping out. A probe was just having a look in the middle of the map and sees that a marine is there. Not going to be able to do too much. But observers, we got a pylon over here as well, and an observer just sitting up here watching what's going on. This is very good vision here from GGGanDol. We'll have to see if he's able to keep an eye on everything that goes on the map. But at the moment, it looks as if his pylon that's down here, I'm not sure if Mental Break can see that. Yes, he can. He's probably going to need to get down here and save this base before he pushes out too far. But there are quite a few Vikings out. We've got 8 Vikings out at the moment, maybe a little bit too many for just 2 Colossi, but I'm not sure how much he's actually scouted out of what is coming along here from GGGanDol. But as we can see, we had a little ping on the minimap there. One of the other spectators in the game has spotted that a Zealot has started going to town on this command center. He's taken out the SCV that was building there. A couple of Marines and Marauders come along, take a few hits, but they will be able to stop that from being a threat. And now, yeah, this is a little bit too high on the Viking count here. He's up to 10. That's quite a lot just for 2 Colossi, but I think perhaps just as a bit of a preventative tech there, he's just made sure that the Colossi aren't going to be able to wreak too much havoc if they go into the higher numbers. But there is a third one about to pop out, so Mental Break should be in an okay position to defend against any attacks. I'm not sure how he's going to go for actually attacking into GGGanDol at the moment, but with the 2-2 on all of those Zealots here, look at all these guys. There's a whole congregation of those dudes just hanging out, ready to go mince meat some Marine and Marauder tasty flesh. But the medevacs are coming out. We've got the Vikings as well, and I'm actually kind of worried here for Mental Break. He's let GGGanDol get up to a 3rd base without any sorts of pressure. As we could see, GGGanDol sitting up there at 59 probes at the moment. He's still got this fantastic vision around the map with these pylons placed in all sorts of spots here. And in fact, the probe is just hanging out in the middle. Not sure why this probe hasn't been stopped. This guy is he's just absolutely flaunting himself over here. Not sure if the Terran is a little bit afraid of that probe or something, but the probe doesn't really have any upgrades, does he? He's just got, okay, he's got 2 armor. That's a pretty hardcore probe. He's Peter the Probe. He's going to hang out and just wait and see what's going on at the rocks here. But yeah, a little bit surprised that Mental Break has just let GGGanDol just, do what he wants to. He's now looking to possibly take a 4th base as well. We've got a probe that's just hanging out at the top of the map, just putting down some extra pylons, of course. This is a Protoss version of having overlords around the map to spot drops and that sort of thing. Of course, it won't necessarily stay up the whole game, but it will certainly help you and be worth the cost if you can actually catch a drop before it gets into position here. And speaking of moving into position, I think Peter the Probe went down. He probably got spotted by one of the Marines, and speaking of which, these guys, there's a lot of Vikings now. We've got 11 Vikings in the mix. There are no more on the way, but +2 is on the way for these Marines and Marauders. I don't think this is a good idea, but a few ghosts have got something to say about that, putting down some EMPs. They have EMP'd quite a lot of that army, and it looks as if Mental Break is going to have a decent time here, but the problem is he's still taking his time getting rid of those Colossi, but they do go down, and now it looks as if Mental Break is going to be able to push through. He's got the +2, still halfway done. He's still quite far behind on those upgrades. The Protoss army now sitting at 2-2, of course, himself blinking some of the Stalkers back so they can get out of the way of those Zealots, and Archon also in the mix, able to do some damage there, and with a bit of stutter step, it looks as if Mental Break is going to push up the ramp. I don't think he's actually going to get too far here. He's going to need to turn around, perhaps would want to try and get some of those Stalkers before they lay waste to those medevacs, but I don't think he's going to be able to push too much further in, and he does retreat for the time being. So just another bit of a battle here in the middle section of the map. Still more and more units streaming in from Mental Break. He's got Marauders 5 at a time. We've got Marines 5 at a time. This army is going to replenish quite quickly. However, the medevacs are starting to run a little bit low here, both on energy and some of them on health as well. But behind all of this pressure, GGGanDol, not afraid, takes a 4th base, picks up the gas there as well. He's going to be sitting on an absolutely brilliant economy once that kicks in, and then he's going to be able to kick up perhaps even another robo. In fact, he's already got another robo. So we've now got double Colossi coming out from GGGanDol, and he's going to need to get some good damage done if he wants to continue to clean up through this game. A Zealot just warping in here And taking a quick look at that fourth base, that means he's going to have to be a little bit more careful with how he proceeds from now. Of course, a Terran on the fourth base, if he catches this rich Vespene Geyser as well, that is really going to help out with his production. Could look and see if he's going to start getting more and more ghosts. In fact, yeah, there are 2 more ghosts on the way, +3 to weapons and +2 to armor. I think that +2 to armor was obviously a bit of a mistake there from Mental Break. I don't think he meant to be getting it this late. That has really caused a bit of a deficit in his army potency, and now it looks as if GGGanDol may be able to take advantage of that. He's currently got a really nice mixture here. We've got Colossi, we've got some Zealots here as well, Archons, and then at the back here, standing under the Colossi like they're the mother of the Templar, are some High Templar, and they're going to be able to put down some Storms very soon. In fact, I think Storm has actually already finished, hasn't it? Yes, it has indeed. So Storm is going to be quite potent here, and the fourth base now up for GGGanDol. He's had no pressure. This is one thing I want to reinforce, is that there has been absolutely no pressure, no drops in the back of GGGanDol's base. We've had nothing come in to try and snipe some of this tech or anything like that. Multi-pronged harass up at the fourth and then coming down to the third. Anything like that would have really helped out here for Mental Break, but I think that he may suffer just a little bit here. It really depends on some of these EMPs. A couple of EMPs go down, they take the energy and the shields down from a couple of the Templar and some of the Archons, the Zealots as well, but they're not too afraid of that at all. But just a little bit of maneuvering here from GGGanDol. I think he needs to just be careful, try and engage when this army moves into this sort of choked section here, and it looks as if he is going. It looks like Mental Break is going to retreat for the time being. Make sure these units are healed up. There are quite a lot of these units that are in the orange. There needs to stop with the stim for just a moment, but he is getting a fifth base behind all of this. So we'll see if that's going to affect anything, but the battle does occur. We've got Storms going down at the back. Some of the Templar were able to keep some of their energy, but the rest of them have been worn out by those EMPs. The Zealots going to town on all of these bio units here. Of course, the 2-2, in fact, was that up to a different upgrade there? I think it was 3-3 for the Zealots, so they absolutely destroy all of these bio units here, and with those extra Colossi that were at the back, he is able to absolutely mow down all of those units that Mental Break had. And now with the Archon, Colossus, and a few Templar mixed in, this army is going to wreak absolute havoc all over the map here, and Mental Break is going to be in quite a lot of trouble. He's now lost a fourth. He's going to lose his fifth. Some Zealots warping in as well, and they're going to join the battle and take care of this command center quite easily. It's going to lift up and try and escape, but to no avail, I can assure you of that. An observer just peeking in to see what is happening here at the top of the Terran base sees that there's still some Marines and Marauders to be dealt with, but with no medevac support, that is not going to be too much to deal with at all. He's got so many Archons here with 3-3, and with that Colossi at the back, the Zealous attack. This is going to be an absolute walkover here for GGGanDol. We'll see if Mental Break can actually use some of the terrain to his advantage. His racks providing a little bit of a choke point here, which means that the Archons have to sort of bunch up a little bit, and we all know those guys are a bit fat. They need to sort of stay in open spaces some of the time, but of course with the grouped up units, that means that the Archon splash is going to do quite a lot of damage, and as we can see, a Storm, some Archons, and that is going to be it for that particular match, I would say. It looks like Mental Break is trying to fight back. He is going to be able to clean up some of these units, but there is just so much more on the way from GGGanDol. He's got some more Zealots warping in. We've got a couple of proxy pylons. In fact, I'm surprised there's no proxy pylon over near the third, but it's not going to matter too much. He's going to warp in a few more units down here at the southern side, bringing in an Archon or two. There we go. These guys making love and making an Archon, and they're prepared to go in just a second, and that will obviously be it very, very soon here for Mental Break. So GGGanDol playing a really nice game. He's currently sitting at 71 probes to the 34 SCVs of Mental Break, and that is going to be it in just a second. A good EMP there to take down the shields of those Zealots, but it's just too little too late here from Mental Break. He fell quite far behind in the economy, which is of course nothing, is not something you want to do against a Protoss at all. If they can kick it up to 3, even 4 bases, it's something that gets very, very ugly very quickly. As we can see, 3-1-3 Archons just going to town on absolutely everything, and that will end that game. So that was a quick little game there from our new Code A player. Gandol, who is part of Dream Team Gaming. You can look them up on Facebook and Twitter as well, just to say hi to them. I'll try and find some more details and more information about Gandol. If you like to see how he goes in the Code A, make sure you do a bit of cheering for him, and we'll certainly have some more quality casts coming up very soon. Cheers.